All right, well, good evening, everybody. It's Wednesday night, which means it's time for some Merfolk. I did my Monday Night Soul Herder last night, since I guess Monday night was not really great for me. So, first time I've done 2 streams in consecutive nights in a little while. So anyhow, welcome. I'm going to be playing Blue-Green Merfolk tonight. I was on Bant for a while, but ultimately I felt like the trade-offs for the mono base weren't really worth it. Also, with the white build, I was running Luris in the sideboard and keeping the deck flat with 2 drops, like the curve stops at 2. With Luris in the sideboard, it's just kind of how it works with Luris's restriction as a companion. And, there were some games where Luris felt amazing, but, the format is maybe not so grindy right now, and Luris in Merfolk decks is very much like a grindy card. Like if somebody comes out and just pushes and bolts all of our stuff, then we can play Luris and hopefully, get a bunch of our stuff back from the graveyard. But it's not really what Modern's about right now. Modern's kind of pretty cutthroat. You've got multiple prowess decks and burn decks and combo decks and goblins, all just trying to like rip your face off by turn 3, Not unusual these days. Like I was just watching Saffron Olive like on Much Ado About Nothing. I don't know if it was today's video or yesterday or something, but he was just playing Ad Nauseam. I don't really see how that fits Much Ado About Nothing. It's a pretty well established archetype, so maybe I'm missing something. But he was playing Ad Nauseam, and he just got turn 3'd by multiple decks. I mean, he did very well with Ad Nauseam, but like one opponent just played a Kiln Fiend on turn 2 and then just attacked for like 20 plus on turn 3. And just because he didn't have interaction, he just lost to the Kiln Fiend. So that's kind of what Modern's doing. So I feel like Luris is kind of cool. And if Jund takes over the metagame, then maybe Merfolk might want to switch back to running, what's that guy's name? Unsettled Mariner, and run Bant again and throw Luris back in the sideboard, because he is good against grindy matchups. But this list sort of issues Luris and white mana in favor of having access to Marrow Regery at the 3-drop position. So the deck does have 12 lords, the 8 Island Walk lords. Of course, actually, my bad. It has it's a little bit late. It has 16 lords. It has 12 2-drop lords, and then the 4 Marrow Regeries. So extremely beefy version of Merfolk. It also has our most aggressive 1-drop, so there have been plenty of games against decks like Eldrazi where they kind of durdle a little bit. Maybe they play a Chalice of the Void, play a Matter Reshaper. Is that guy's name? Yeah. And then, by the time that happens, I've already got like 2 lords out. Maybe there's a Regery and I can just like dump my hand on the table. It's a very aggressive build. There are 2 Mutavaults. I had previously been on 20 lands with 3 Mutavaults, but I still felt like I was flooding more often than not, or more often than was comfortable. So I recently trimmed the 3rd Mutavault. It is a 2-color deck, even though the green requirements are pretty limited. So we can't run too many Mutavaults. We do need to hit our colors. After trimming down to 19 lands, I used that extra spot to bump Force of Negation up to 4 copies. It's possible that we might be better off shifting the balance toward Dismember, since, as I mentioned, there's tons of creature decks right now. But the way that the creature decks kind of go in Modern right now, they're like super aggressive creature decks. So Dismember can be good or bad. I've never really felt great running 4 Dismembers. I mean, if you're back in the days of like Twin and you just absolutely need a removal spell on turn 3 or 4, then you probably want to pack 4 Dismembers. If there's tons and tons of Devoted Druid, then sure, run all the Dismembers you want. But if it's tons of Prowess and Burn, then Dismember is going to be a little bit sketchy. It can be pretty decent against Prowess, but again, sketchy because they can just have 2 or 3 creatures, and removing one of them will just deal 4 damage to you, and they'll just kill you with the other 2 creatures. The list does have the full 4 Cavern of Souls. This is something that Rothgar had started doing recently. I mean, we've obviously all run different numbers of Cavern of Souls for many years at this point with modern Merfolk. Seems like if you're going to run two colors, sort of a no-brainer to run the Cavern of Souls. There was a bit of a discussion, and it's an understatement because it was like a multi-day long argument about what happens when you run these 4 Cavern of Souls and you've got Kumena Speaker who requires an island to be a 2/2 if you don't have another Merfolk on the table. My list as it stands has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lands that can fulfill Kumena Speaker's island requirement. And I guess at the point of the argument, I had 5, which, according to the math, like by like your second turn, which is when you need Kumena Speaker to really be a 2/2, it's like it's more than 50% to have an island on the battlefield. But more than that, like we're always playing Merfolk, and so Kumena Speaker virtually always a 2/2. I don't really feel like I need to increase the island count to really get Kumena's Speaker's full sort of utility. It just always incidentally turned on by either a Merfolk or an island. So Cavern of Souls, with that sort of slight downside put aside, is kind of amazing because it gives us blue, gives us green without any pain. It's sort of like Botanical Sanctum in that sense. In a lot of matchups, we really want to not draw too many breeding pools and waterlogged groves because, it's just going to lower our life total while we're casting our spells, and it's just going to help burn. It's just going to help prowess, get us to 0 life that much faster. And apart from fixing our mana, clearly it lets us play through counter spells. Maybe not as obvious. It helps us play through Chalice of the Void, which is extremely popular right now. You can see 4 copies in my sideboard. Because again, those extremely low to the ground decks like Burn and Prowess, even though Goblins is a very low to the ground deck, they run Cavern of Souls and Aether Vial, so not a good card in that matchup. So anyhow, once again, welcome to the stream this evening, everybody. I am just going to jump into a league, and we'll see what kind of matchups I get this evening. So M. Hayashi, once again, contending for the top of the trophy table. Somebody posted a screenshot of him recently in the Soul Herder Discord. The person was playing Niv Mizzet, and M. Hayashi was actually playing Merfolk. I can't remember the last time I've run into him playing Merfolk. It must have been like 4 years ago or something. He's pretty much always on burn these days. Or, his fancy prowess version. Though, without Luris, I'm not exactly sure where he's at right now. So opponent won the die roll. They are keeping 7, and this is a mulligan for us. Jeez, it's a pretty rough start for us. Mutavault is a creature. Jeez. I mean, I could go down to 5, but turn 1 Aether Vial has a lot to be said for it. I could put one of these caverns down. I can cycle the Waterlogged Grove. It's pretty weak. Mutavault is kind of a creature. Waterlogged Grove is kind of another card. I don't love going to 5. We are on the draw, so start off Botanical Sanctum, Aether Vial. If it was a mull to 5 with these cards, I would definitely keep it. So just basically get another Waterlogged Grove. I'm gonna keep this, and we just need to sort of pray that we draw into creatures. If we draw into like 2 or 3 creatures off the top of the deck, then it's as if we didn't really mulligan. Fetch land. Hey, Drake. It's going okay. Just had a nasty... well, this really doesn't matter. I mean, we've got a billion lands, including Cavern of Souls. I just kept a mull to 6 with Mutavault and Master and Aether Vial and drew a land for my first draw, so... pretty bad. So, yeah, let's stop drawing lands now. Okay. All right, well, it is a blue matchup. We'll see what we can do. For now, it looks like it could be blue-black. We really don't have any idea. I mean, who runs Spell Pierce? Okay, it doesn't look like they've got push online. Yeah, that's fair. It's you mean you shouldn't have kept the 6, I guess? I guess you saw the 6 that I kept. I was thinking that if I mulled to 5, I would have kept okay, so this is like what, like a Narset combo deck or something? I was thinking that I had 5 cards that would have been a solid keep on a mull to 5, like Lord, Vial, Mutavault, and then 2 lands. So basically just got an extra Waterlogged Grove out of the deal. So this, I'm just going to play a Lord here and attack Narset down. Archive Trap. Jesus, this is a little bit weird. So I guess it's a mill deck. So Narset says I can't draw. So that's not a big deal right now. Just need to make sure we don't crack that Waterlogged Grove. Rejury was actually quite a nice draw. This is literally the first game of the evening. I just sort of went through the deck tech. It's pretty much your list. It's -1 land, -1 Mutavault, +1 Force. Force should hopefully be pretty good in this matchup if we draw any of them. All right, so they have an Archive Trap in hand. We know that. So we're probably not going to search our library. Opponent representing Cryptic here. We've got 10 damage on board. So it's just mill with Narset, I guess. All right, so let's open up our graveyard. We're going 10 deep here. Okay, Merfolk stuff, right? Oh, that's unfortunate. But we've got more gas where that came from. Archive Trap is online next turn. Oh, another Lord is pretty nice here. So just go Lord and attack. We get in for 7. Feels pretty good in this spot. Don't think we're going to crack that Waterlogged Grove, so might as well just get an island here. Thin the deck a little bit. Oh, no. 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 Archive Trap. Archive Trap. Jesus, I haven't played against Mill in a little while. So, I think the opponent has until the end of the turn to get me with Archive Trap. So, just played into that pretty terribly. Still feel like they're not really doing the mill thing so well this game. Like, they didn't do anything on turns 1 and 2, then they just played Narset. So we do have 39 cards left in the deck. So just getting in for 7 here. One goes down to 12. With the next Lord, we definitely have lethal if they don't have any kind of way to stop my attack. Opponent thinking really hard about this Mutavault. And we'll see if they remember to Archive Trap. I mean, how could they not? It's a central part of their strategy. But I am F6ing, and I feel like we've got to get it here. Yeah, I walked into that for sure. All right, well, that was a big fuck up on my part. Excuse the language. I hope I don't lose to Mill when I have the win. All right, so Mesmeric Orb is gonna make me mill what, 5 on my turn. They've got 1 card. We've got lethal in hand. Should be decent. Should be enough. Should be enough to get us there. Okay. Well, 2 consecutive Force of Negations. Another Lord. And an island. All right. So we'll play the Lord. I mean, I guess I could have played this island first. Just swinging for the fences here. if they magically have a fatal push in hand that they haven't represented the entire game. Maybe a crypt incursion or something, but I think that's typically sideboard stuff. All right, well, I got lucky there because I didn't need to play that stupid fetch land when I knew the opponent had an archive trap in hand. All right, so what's going on here? I don't think Chalice is amazing against this deck. I don't think I have a lot in general, except the Relic is going to help turn off stuff like Visions of Beyond and Crypt Incursion. So I will go ahead and bring in 3 of those, and I guess the Dismember is good for the Crab. I'm kind of actually, we can easily trim 2 Spreading Seas. The Crab is like the equivalent of Goblin Guide. Like, they get it down on turn 1, and it like dramatically increases their chances of winning, because all of a sudden, like, all of their lands are milling us, right? So having an answer to that, particularly when our life total is really not the resource that we're concerned with in the matchup, it's really just about card count, and to that extent, I might just keep it at 61 here. I think that's totally reasonable. Actually, in the past, I've just randomly had excellent sideboard options against mill, like a lot of extra counter spells, that kind of thing, and I would just bring in like all 15 cards and just run 75 against mill. You just need to like mulligan to like 2 lands, and then they basically have to draw another card. It's like starting at like 23 or 24 life against burn. So again, taking out just 2 Spreading Seas because they're sort of useless, and bringing in 3 relics. Nah, I think that I'd sooner keep the Adept in than trim it. 61 cards should be totally fine. In theory, even slightly better than 60. Well, this is a keep. We've got a force, and we've got some beef. Opponent starting with 7. And I'm happy to pitch a Lord to counter a mill spell. Or just a Trickster. That's great. All right, so next turn, Lord, and then Mutavault. So here's that Hedron Crab. It's kind of annoying. It kind of makes this Merfolk Trickster slightly better. That was sick. Good draw. I'm just going to use this right now, I think. It's a little bit slow, but I don't really care that much. Now they play a fetch land, or just Field of Ruin, which also searches. It actually forces the search, right? So they could archive trap me. I kind of hate Mesmeric Orb. We really want to tap out every turn, so I'm just going to pitch this Merfolk Trickster now. And now we just, play the beef and hope that it's enough to get there. Another Dismember, a little bit awkward, but they do run 4 crabs. Wouldn't be surprised if they had a push, but we saw Drown in the Loch in the last game, so it's possible that's what they're dealing with as far as spot removal. All right, so far we've had a lot of threats, a lot of answers. Okay, so they're forcing the search here, which makes you think they have Archive Trap. Maybe I could have floated. It doesn't really matter. They don't have a Hedron Crab here. No, a Ghost Quarter. Okay. Another force. We don't have. Well, I guess when I play this, I do have mana to cast the force. Well, they just cracked Field of Ruin that turn, so it doesn't seem like they have that much going on. So I think we kind of have to get bodies on the table. I do have a Dismember up for Hedron Crab if they find another one. I feel like I probably can't crack this Waterlogged Grove yet just because it's the only way that I can cast Force of Negation right now. If they Ghost Quarter it, I guess I just let it happen. I don't know. I probably want to cycle it. Can't maybe they'll just go after Cavern of Souls? What's going on here? Oh, they're going to Crypt Incursion me? Murderous Cut. All right, fair enough. Opponent has a lot of removal. All right, let's dodge any like Haymaker spells this turn. All right, looks like we are doing that. So yeah, I'm just going to chill on Waterlogged Grove for the time being until I get another blue source on the table. Jeez, all 3 Dismembers. Awkward. But now we've got Force up, so... Let's see, how many creatures do we have in the graveyard? 2. Opponent's drawn lands. Hey Jackie Chen. I do still post my YouTube videos. So sometimes I just sometimes I do it right after the stream. Sometimes it takes me a few days and I just upload a few of the streams all at once. Opponent with 4 cards. So go to the end step. They don't do too much at instant speed. Okay, well that's a creature. It's a creature that lets us leave up Force of Negation as well. Yeah, so I'm gonna continue sort of playing conservatively here, I think. Opponent seems to be drawing pretty poorly. I'm gonna let like any kind of spot removal just resolve. I think I'm more interested in fighting against their mill plan. So I'm waiting to either draw another blue spell or another land so that I can play this Mistbinder and hold up Force. Opponent with 5 cards in hand. Okay, well, so now we can play our Lord and attack. And again, I'm definitely not going to counter removal, I don't think. Unless it's like a board wipe, then I would happily spend the Force of Negation. Jackie Chen, why are you asking about YouTube, if you don't mind? The thing about YouTube, it's kind of annoying. I haven't... I'm supposed to get like notifications when people leave comments, but I just haven't been getting notifications for like the last half year or so. So when people post comments, like I just don't get notified, and then I have to go and check in on my recent videos to see if anybody has said anything. So opponent up to 6 cards in hand. Weird. I will crack this. Yeah, I will crack this. Okay, they've got something, I guess. Let's see. Okay, that's fine. As I said, I wasn't going to counter spot removal anyway. Okay, now we've got a blue spell to pitch to Force, so we're fine. If they don't do anything on their turn, I could totally just flash in the Trickster. +4/+4 if a graveyard has, if an opponent has 10 or more. This is fine. We've got Dismember, right? It still just dies. So I'm going to flash in the Trickster here, tap down this silly flying thing. Opponent could have more spot removal. They do have 4 cards in hand. Okay, 8 power on the board. We're getting somewhere now. And yeah, I do have to wait on Rejury here, I think. Still have 41 cards in the deck. on turn 10. All right, opponent's just taking it. We're just passing. More spot removal. They should have cast it during combat. I don't know what's going on here. Crypt Incursion. Let's check it out. 1, 2, 3. They want to exile it and gain 9 life. We put him to 15. That's still a 2-turn clock for us. Makes Jace's Phantasm like that much further away. This is again 1, 2, 3. They're going to gain 9 life. That's fine. You got it, opponent. So these dismembers not feeling super terrible here, actually. Kind of decent. Relic is nice. I'm going to go to combat first. Yeah, because we might want to force something and dismember. Really no rush to Relic, because if Jace gets big, Jace's Phantasm gets big from my graveyard somehow, then I can just dismember the Phantasm as a 5/5. Yeah. So again, we do have a 2-turn clock here. Opponent's taking it. Seems pretty good for us. So this will get cracked on their end step if they don't cast anything meaningful. I could also dismember, crack the Relic, and just pitch Reejerey for force. But I'd rather not pitch Reejerey if we have mana up for Force of Negation. Opponent going for something. Extirpating my Force of Negation with Split Second. Well, that's sort of rough. I guess I could crack the Relic. Oh, yeah, wait a second. That means I can't cast spells or activate abilities. Right, that's fine. So I can't do anything here. So they get to take the Force out of my hand. It is just 1 fewer card in their hand. I thought for a second I might have been able to activate these abilities on the board, but it's only mana abilities that you can activate in response to Split Second. All right, so opponent gets some value out of that random extirpate. Yeah, can't crack Split Second. I just haven't played against... okay, now they're extirpating Dismember. It's hard to say how much this matters, honestly. We still have 38 cards in the deck with another Lord in hand. All right. So if we draw like a Kumena Speaker, we can just play Rege and then tap down this Phantasm. Okay, tap land is pretty poor, and another land is also pretty poor. I don't really see a reason to run out the Reejerey here. Actually, there is a reason, right? Because if they block a 3 right now, they just take 5. Otherwise, they would take 7. Yeah, I think Reejerey's solid here. Just saying if I play into a board wipe, but this forces them to have something. If they do somehow get out of this and have a board wipe, I mean they haven't been doing anything. They haven't been milling me. I don't think they've milled me once this game. So double extirpate and the opponent still concedes. The problem with stuff like extirpate is it's often not really, it's just card negative often because you're running out in the blind. The opponent got lucky to take the Force of Negation out of my hand. Then it becomes known information, and then the second extirpate was actually pretty good, but it still didn't do anything for them. Merfolk is a really redundant deck, so taking one of our lords or something like that, it just seems pretty poor. The opponent obviously drew pretty badly, but typically a pretty good matchup for us. We've got a few counter spells to sort of hit their important things. Pretty sure I countered him as Merrick Orb in this game, which can be really devastating for us. Like every turn, we just keep tapping 3 or 4 lands and just keep getting milled over and over again. It's particularly rough when they get 2 of them down. But we are 1-0 so far. Opponent on mill, unsurprisingly not on the trophy board yet. Not really throwing shade or anything. I'm not on the trophy board myself. I haven't been playing that many leagues lately. Hey Tux. Yeah, I feel like I have to like play on your guys' sympathy to get any of you in here to watch the stream. It's all good. I can just play by myself, just cry myself to sleep. Okay, let's go to round 2. I did keep a weird hand in one of those games. I think game 1. Blah. Double blah. Hopefully we'll just keep playing against mill all evening. Opponent's keeping 7. We're mulliganing to 5. Nasty. Keeping force on a multi 5 is always rough, but if we're playing against like Grishelbrand, then it's just the nuts. Or, ad nauseum, etc. Mulling to 5, not finding Ether Vial, just always feels bad. Hard to climb out of this hole. Opponent thinking very, very hard about their first land drop. In the meantime, we can check out the art for Botanical Sanctum. It's like a little pond. Some kind of catwalk leading up to a weird sanctum, I guess. A botanical sanctum. Pendelhaven. So, could be Infect, could be Scales. But Hardened Scales has been playing Luris, so I'm leaning towards Infect, in which case Trickster should be pretty good. Force could also be good if we hit another land at some point. Would rather not pitch one of my... Ether Vial, I might just have to get that down now. I feel like it's just more important. We're stuck on 2 lands forever. His opponent pausing at the weirdest times. So I'm calling Infect, but it could still be Scales. I think, right? Scales plays Pendelhaven, or maybe not. They don't have too many 1/1s. I think they play the other green land that has the counter on it, the Graft land. Yeah, it looks like Infect. So this is almost certainly going to be a Blighted Agent. Otherwise, they wouldn't keep. They'd either play Inkmoth Nexus. What is going on? Opponent giving me time. So just want gas here. No more. I guess not. You don't even want land here. Even though it turns on force. All right. Nothing we can do about it. Just have to hope to not draw any more lands here. This is Dismember. So what's the best way to play Trickster against Infect? I mean, it changes depending on how many cards they have in hand, whether we think they have a protection spell or not. but the opponent's got 5. Is going to have 6 cards in hand, 3 lands. There's not too much. I mean, we could play around. We can cast Trickster after they attack, try to counter their pump spell. They do have the +1/+2, so we can't even really trade with Blighted Agent if they leave up Pendelhaven. Well, that's a decent draw. But we're kind of priced into leaving up Hardcast Force here, I think. I mean, we could just pass and see what they do. If this is scale up, yeah, I have to try to, well, you know what? I feel like I Trickster now, and then they try to cast a protection spell, and I force it, and effectively just counter 2 things. I could let this resolve, then Trickster it, then they cast a protection. I don't really see the difference. I don't know how they can't use Pendelhaven on it. I don't really see the benefit of doing it after he attacks. Unless, well, if I let pump spells resolve and then do Trickster, then I would take regular damage. That seems like an okay line. Like if they pump again, let it resolve. Well, huh. I mean, yeah, I'd rather not take this infect. I could be playing this wrong. It's always such like a headache trying to figure out like what we should be playing around. So I definitely has to be at least 1 protection spell here. I feel like I just shouldn't be taking damage here, honestly. Should have just cast it or vialed in the Trickster before any of this stuff. But the regular damage might as well just be no damage because they're not going to be attacking for regular damage. Oh, they have another protection spell. This is obnoxious. Well, it should at least not be lethal unless they have, well, let's see, a Spell Pierce. That's fun. All right, so it is getting in for 8 here. All right, so Pendelhaven is just lethal next turn. Not really any way that we could have played around that, honestly. They had protection spell plus counter spell. Oh, they have the sick new Inkmoth Nexus. That's beautiful. I love that. Okay, so sometimes you just get run over by infect. So it was game 1. It doesn't really matter. Like they were either going to have the protections. If they had the protection spell and I counter it, then I'm taking 6 regular damage. If I just cast Trickster, if I violent Trickster like at the start of combat, the same thing happens. It's just we're not going to take any damage. So I think it was just kind of a mistake to wait until attacks, but again, really, really inconsequential. So Tidebinder great in this matchup because it can hit Hierarch and it can hit Glistener Elf. Obviously Chalice is really excellent. Chalice can really just shut them out of a game. Okay, so then we want to take out some of our non or less interactive stuff. I could probably take out the Regeries because they're a little bit heavy. Silvergill Adept. I mean, I feel like I've heard Nikachu talk about sideboarding out Silvergill Adepts in this matchup. They're beef that draws us into cards. It's sort of hard to see how that can be bad, particularly on the play. But, you know, Lords are good, so maybe trim 2 Silvergills to start. We might just have to trim all the Silvergills just because everything else is interactive, right? We've either got beef with the Lords, interaction with the Trickster, beef with the Speakers, put Seize onto an Inkmoth Nexus, counter spells, Tidebinders, Chalice, Dismember. Seems like that's a pretty well stocked sort of setup. Lots of interaction, lots of creatures. All right, so took out 8 creatures, brought 4 in. Well, this is significantly better than our last hand. Minimal interaction, but we do have a lot in the deck. The best top deck would be a Chalice of the Void. But we can just get kind of beefy for the first couple turns. And then hold up Trickster. Hope that it does something. Tidebinder was a good one. Really good one. So hopefully that was their only threat. Infect does not run a lot of threats, just 4 Glistener Elves, 4 Blighted Agents, 4 Inkmoth Nexuses. 12 in the whole deck. And there's an Inkmoth Nexus, so where's my Spreading Seas? Double Trickster. They can't activate Inkmoth Nexus and get in for lethal next turn. They could have like Scale Up plus Mutagenic Growth, but can't play around that. So we're just gonna jam the Lord, get in for 6. All right, well, I mean, they've got a threat, they've got lands. Oh, Dismember on the Lord is going to lower their life total. We've got 6 damage on the table. 2-turn clock. We can now just attack for 4 and leave up Trickster. Land actually not terrible in this spot. We can attack with Mutavault. Yeah, attack with Mutavault, leave up Trickster, and they'll be at 1, I think, after cracking their Windswept Teeth. So Tidebinder Mage obviously making a huge difference in this game. Okay, opponent goes down to 1. We have 0 poison. Okay, so we get there in game 2. We're going to be on the draw in game 3, which is obviously rough against Infect, but we do have a lot of great sideboard stuff against them, so let's hope for the turn 1 Ether Vial, turn 2 Chalice, and we'll see how it goes. We're just going to run back the same setup. Ugh. It's so painful. Opponent starting with 7. If I had running lands on the top of my deck, this would be the absolute nuts. We've got 3 pieces of interaction, Chalice for the lock, but obviously I just have to mulligan this. It's just so painful. So 0 lands in the first 14 cards. Let's mulligan again. 0 lands in the first 21 cards. Okay, 1 land. Well, this can get there if we rip land off the top. And Chalice is one of those extremely potent cards that we could just, in theory, want to just mulligan to. I am going to actually keep the Spreading Seas for sure, just because all we want to do is stop their creatures right now, I think. So, I mean, Kumena Speaker is a way to actually cast something with Spreading Seas. It's just a 1/1, since we don't have an island and we don't have another Merfolk. We are going to keep this. We're going to put both the Lords on the bottom. And then it just becomes a question of what the best 4th card is. I mean, Speaker just seems a little bit pointless here. So I'm just going to pitch the Speaker. Like, we need lands to do anything. A 1/1's not really going to get us there. Tidebinder could completely shut down one of their threats. Spreading Seas could do the same. So this is how we're going to run it. Land off the top is the nuts here. And we've got more lands than anything else in our deck. Okay. Well, we do have one more look before things get really, really gross. Okay, double Hierarch. Well, Tidebinder, decent here. Okay, all right. This is 6. So this is where it gets tricky. I think the best move here is to just play the Tidebinder. Play the Tidebinder, tap down the Glistener Elf. I'm already taking 3 Infect from this. But I mean, they can dismember, but they don't have mana up right now. So I think literally all of their pump spells cost 1. Like, literally all of them. So it might just be best to play the Chalice here, I think. Follow up with the Tidebinder after taking a few Infect, like specifically 3 next turn. All right, so now we just need to dodge any kind of artifact removal. Yeah, Drake, a little late on that one. It was, I mean, obviously nothing wrong with playing Tidebinder Mage. This is 3 extra damage, I guess, here, but they have to have a bunch of pump spells in hand. But I guess we would have. Yeah, maybe I'm punting this. Well, so now we've got the Chalice down. They can't cast any protection spells. If they get in with 1 creature, it has double Exalted. We can cast Trickster to tap it down. Next turn, play Tidebinder Mage. I mean, we need to find a Dismember to deal with these creatures at this point. Them having the Blighted Agent was a little bit unlucky. So I'm set to take 3 regular damage here. Opponent dismembering. That's sort of fine. Not sure how much that sequencing matters too much. Though here I might just want to play the Lord because they're getting in for 3 unblockable anyway, right? But hang on a second. I play the Tidebinder now, and then it can attack with Island Walk next turn. So remember, this is a mulligan to 4. And we still have the out of drawing a Dismember to not die to this Blighted Agent. We can also draw more Tricksters. I can cast this Spreading Seas to hopefully draw into a Dismember. I'm just going to continue taking regular damage. All right, well, we can still take another 3 next turn. It's frustrating. Tricksters and Dismembers are kind of our only outs here. All right, well, we have 2 looks, but unless I draw a land and then play Seas and draw Trickster, well, I guess we'll see how it goes. Frustrating. Okay, so now we have to cast this Spreading Seas. And we have to draw exactly a Dismember. If I play the Lord, I can only attack for 7, and they can block the Lord anyway, so Dismember 1 time. Yeah, let's see. Well, 1 draw out of sequence there. If the Vial had been below the Trickster, maybe we could have made something happen. All right, they've got the attack here, so let's see what the next card is. Okay, well, a little bit rough. Given the draws, I don't think there was any way we could have gotten there this game. Remember, I ran out the Chalice ahead of the Tidebinder. If I had ran out the Tidebinder first and tapped down the Glistener, they would have run out the Blighted Agent instead on their next turn. Then I could have played the Chalice. But if I ran out the Tidebinder first, that was definitely correct, because then they're not attacking for infect damage on the next turn. So slight misstep in playing the Chalice ahead of the Tidebinder. Possible I could have gotten another turn on the clock. But without another Island Walk Lord, I don't know that this hand was going to get there against a Blighted Agent and double Hierarch. Really kind of a bummer, because the Multifor really could have gotten there. We had lands, creatures, and Chalice, but they had exactly 1 land, double Hierarch for the sort of 3/3 every single turn. Can't really be too disappointed in losing on the Multifor, but a little disappointed because it was as close as it was. Definitely should have played the Tidebinder first. It's such just a clear misstep. Like, whenever let's see. I mean, they had at that point, they played turn 1, Hierarch, turn 2, they played a second Hierarch and Glistener Elf, so they couldn't have even played like a protection spell for the Glistener Elf. And whenever they have an infect creature on the board, particularly when they're tapped out, you should just aim at that thing first and then establish any of your interaction after that, I guess, or establish your board after that. In this case, it was Chalice. I know this too. I don't know. I guess I got too psyched about the Chalice. All right. That's enough analysis of that game. I think in the end, we probably could have gotten one more attack in, but given the state of the game, the way that it went, I was going to have to take either the second turn or the third turn off to play the Chalice. So I wasn't going to increase my clock. And the opponent ended at 8, and we only had 7 on board. Only 3 of it was... So, yeah, we had 7 on board if we played another Lord. So we didn't even have lethal, and we definitely didn't have lethal with Island Walk, so... Down to 1 and 1. We beat Mill, and then we lost to Infect. All right, let's go into round 3. We found an opponent. I think that we've lost both die rolls so far, and I have mulliganed a significant amount. Spamming my stream on all my various Discords. Waiting and waiting and waiting. So far, both Force and Dismember have been relevant in both matches, right? Force and Dismember, good against Mill, kill their crabs, chases Phantasm, and counter the pump spells against Infect, kill their creatures. So the flex slot's feeling pretty solid this evening. Continuing to lose die rolls. I feel like between this and the last handful of matches I have played, just been like constantly losing die rolls. Well, opponent's mulliganing and we're keeping, so that's a change of pace in this league. Utopia Sprawl. So if they happen to have like a Magus and we don't draw into an Ether Vial right now, oh hey, spoke too soon. So that was pretty clutch. They could have a pillage and blow up the Ether Vial. They could also blow up my land, but that just really, really significantly helped my odds in this game. Oh, they chose blue. This might be something slightly more interesting than what I thought it was. Are they missing a land drop here? Spreading Seas, as always, gonna be pretty nutty against Utopia Sprawl. Oh my god. Where's that Spreading Seas? Give it to me. So now they've named green and they've named blue. Okay, well, I mean, if we're going to draw lands, that's a decent one to draw at that particular moment. The opponent's building up to something big. Play another Utopia. Okay, Hex Drinker, okay. So we can tap that during their upkeep if we feel like it with Trickster. We're still hoping to draw the Utopia Sprawl, sorry, the Spreading Seas to hit their Utopia Sprawls. Well, I can't really complain about these tricksters. So they could buff this thing. It gets protection from instants, but it doesn't get protection from trickster. So don't necessarily have to play a trickster yet. If they just want to dump everything into Hex Drinker, get in for 4, that's sort of fine. I could also just tap down their birds to keep them sort of constrained. I definitely like playing a Regery here. It's going to open up next turn like crazy. And then with a Regery on the board, I can cast a trickster, actually tap their single land. So and if they want to trade their Hex Drinker for Silvergill Adept, that seems sort of okay. If the opponent's plan is just to pump the Hex Drinker, I'm sort of fine with that. And we can sort of interpose with Trickster whenever we feel like it, because this is only sorcery speed. Annex. Enchant land. You control enchanted land. So definitely dealing with the spice here. You got it, opponent. Can't activate it and do any kind of tricks with it, so we're getting pretty fortunate with the draws and the matchups this evening. The only problem is we've been mulliganing a little bit. So here, I think we actually do take up this thing. So we can tap like everything. We can tap the Hex Drinker and we can tap 2 lands. So I think I'm just going to play a Silvergill, untap a land. Actually, I can untap 2. Actually, I can just cast infinite stuff here. So they're at 17. I've got 11 on board right now. Let's just start off with the Silvergill Adept. Yeah. Not exactly. What? Oh, they're just scooping. Okay. Super weird deck. So they're running Annex. It's like, I guess, a really weird version of red-green land hate. Tux, I just saw your chat here. The plan was just cast a Silvergill, see what I draw, and then on their upkeep, I was going to cast a Trickster, use Regery to target both of their lands, and then use Trickster to tap down probably their birds, and then I don't really see what they do from that spot. Okay. Yeah, I mean this keeps them from like Utopia Sprawl value, but I don't think it's good enough. Tidebinder Mage should be pretty nutty. Probably the only thing I'm bringing in this matchup. Ugh. Let's see. Activated abilities, so we could turn off like Hex Drinker if we bring in Damping Matrix, but I would also turn off Ether Vial, so it seems pretty poor. Spreading Seas, clearly quite good. I think I like Regery too. It doesn't seem like they're really going after our creatures. It's like a blue-green deck. So trim a couple Mistbinders. Not really sure what they're working with. Seems like they're ramping to some kind of crazy spell. It could be like Tooth and Nail or something like that. So I'm kind of comfortable just keeping in all of my forces at this point. On the draw, I could potentially trim a land, but since they're on kind of land destruction, I don't really mind drawing lands. I don't know, trim 1 Rege and trim 1 of something else. Silvergill, I guess. Opponent was mulliganing to 6 there. I think we kept on 7. They were on the play. They'll be on the play again. This is round 3, currently 1-1. Very solid. At the latest, we'll have Force online on turn 3. Tidebinder Mage will tap something down on turn 2. Whether it's a Hex Drinker or birds or whatever. I could see some people mulliganing this kind of a hand, but we've got 3 lands, including a creature. We've got a land that cycles, replaces itself. We've got turn 1 Ether Vial, which is our strongest turn 1 play. We've got interaction for their creatures. We've got counters for whatever big payoff they're going for, and we're on the draw, so we're going to see a lot of cards. So for me, this is snap keep. We didn't play Spreading Seas, so no reason for the opponent to like hedge their bets. They could just go all in on Utopia Sprawls. Oh, that's awesome. So all we need now is for the opponent to just play 2 more Utopia Sprawls on that land. And all right, and they're making 0 plays. We know they have 4 mana land disruption. Botanical Sanctum quite nice there, and they don't have any creatures out yet. So I feel like Spreading Seas is a pretty clear play here. It's gonna draw us a card. It's gonna slow their mana down. They could just have a counter spell up, but they don't. 3rd Ether Vial is quite terrible. Could possibly have played the Mutavault. Double Tidebinder. Play the Mutavault. I could just hold up Hardcast Force or get down a 2nd Ether Vial. Second Ether Vial doesn't seem super relevant here, so I'll just pass. Could play it eventually once my lands open up a little bit more. All right, they tap out for some silly spell, and I cast a counter spell. 3 more forces in the deck. I mean, this is the most impactful thing that we've seen so far. And I kind of feel like priced into playing a Tidebinder Mage here. Okay. So we'll just do that, I guess. Could also just play an Ether Vial, attack with Mutavault. Still can't crack the Waterlogged Grove then. So Reach seems okay. I mean, we're probably going to see like Hydroid Crassus or something like that. Thragtusk. Well, okay. If you insist, opponent. Okay, we can get in for 11 here. 2-turn clock. Another force, super solid. So if I get in for 8 here, not, well, having the option to cast a force here just seems pretty good. Opponent's running out of cards. They're getting pretty desperate. If I draw a Lord, it's lethal even just with these 3 guys. And if they don't do anything, we can just crack the Waterlog Grove on their end step. 4, 4, 3. Get in for 8 here. They're at 13. So 11. They are going to leave force up here. Another Thragtusk. Okay, I mean, they could have Mystical Dispute or Spell Pierce or something. Pretty hard to get us from this spot, though. Okay, this is a silly deck. Very fortunate pairing for us, but we did it. We did our job. 2-1 in the league. Let's go to round 4. A win here will let me cash the league. So we haven't won any die rolls yet. Got pretty nice draws in that last round, but prior to that, I mean, we had a mulligan to 4 against Infect, which we almost won with, but didn't quite get there. And just like a lot of mulligans to 6 and I think 5. So, all right, found an opponent really quickly. That's nice. Ah, we won the die roll. That's awesome. But 0 landers. This is kind of ridiculous. Mulliganing to 5 again. It's so absurd because the last few matches that I played with this list, I was just flooding nonstop. Opponent says good luck and have fun. And they mulligan to 6, which is some small consolation that I have to mulligan to 5 again. I was saying that I've just been flooding nonstop, and then I take 1 land out, 1 Mutavault, and I just start mulliganing to 4. Okay. So given the state of the format, feel like we kind of have to keep the Dismember in hand. If it's like goblins, we need some kind of answers. The alternative is just to keep double Regery and Seize. But we've got far more Merfolk than we do Dismembers. So opponent kept 6, and I'm going to keep 5. If we can dodge Thoughtseize here, it's going to be better than getting Thoughtseized, because taking Spreading Seas here would be slightly backbreaking. This, okay. Could Dismember the Hierarch, but, oh, well, we actually drew a Silvergill, so I think Silvergill's just a play here. As far as dismembering the Hierarch goes, I don't think it's like a very tempo positive play here. We're on a mulligan, so we'd love to draw like back into some cards. If the opponent has no other lands, then it's pretty sick. Looks like a creature matchup. Obviously, Ancient Ziggurat can only cast creatures, so Trickster actually a pretty good draw here. I mean, it's probably, what, humans, right? Not really sure about the Ziggurat tech. I don't know if that's standard. I guess what I mean to say is I don't know if that's stock at this point. Oh, I revealed. Oh, they're just playing this thing. All right, well, it's getting in for 4. We can just hold up Trickster or just dismember it. See if I draw a land, then I can do both. Could dismember the Trickster. Sorry, dismember the Rider. All right, we drew a land. So the play could just be jam Regery and swing. They're not going to want to trade with this Silvergill Adept. And then we get like super bonus from having Regery on the board. Like if they're just going crazy aggro with like another Mantis Rider, Of course, the downside is that they bounce Regery. It's kind of rough, like with a Reflector Mage. But again, on mulligans, you kind of have to go for the highest upside play, I think. And I can't see humans blocking in a million years in this spot. And actually, we'd kind of prefer that they block, so it's a good attack. So hoping to dodge Reflector Mage. If they just play like another Mantis Rider, it's sort of okay. We did reveal Regery, so if they play like, oh, this is a Lieutenant? Okay, so we're going to take a bit of damage, but it looks like we should still be able to deal with this Mantis Rider. Okay, well, double Exalted now is kind of dirty. It's going to take us down to 10, and then Dismember would take us down even lower. But we can tap 2 things with Trickster, which seems pretty good. I'd love to draw a Lord on this turn. Exactly a Lord. Island Walk Lord. All right. Okay, we can't really attack with the Regery as much as I want to. All right, so we went for the Regery. It managed to stay on board for a whole turn cycle. We're going to get to do some stuff at the beginning of their combat. Untap with a bunch of beef and Spreading Seas. This is a mulligan to 5, right? This is rough. They're going to cast Kite Sail. All right. Well, it's their choice. I could dismember something now if I want to. Just to not have to deal with Mantis Rider in subsequent turns. This Thalia's Lieutenant is gonna get swole though here. So probably better. I mean, let him take they almost have to take the Spreading Seas, right? If I draw a Lord next turn, it should be lethal. All right. So we are going to pause them on the beginning of combat. They still have access to 3 mana. They have a redraw with Horizon Canopy. They took the Dismember, actually, which is surprising. I mean, Reflector Mage, Deputy, Up to Tension, those things are always kind of blowouts. All right, it still doesn't really matter. Actually, it kind of does, because now we can't draw into a Lord, cast it, untap a land, and cast Spreading Seas. So really, we just want Tricksters at this point. All right, so that resolves. Actually, you know what? I probably could have tapped down to the Lieutenant first, so it doesn't get another counter. Slightly poor there. So we really, really need like a Trickster, and failing a Trickster, at least some beef. And we could play Spreading Seas, but right now we can only get, actually we're getting in for 11. Oh, it's so close. They don't have, well, let's see. Let's see what I draw here. Have to tap out for stupid Spreading Seas right now. Let's hit the Horizon Canopy. And we'll just play it like a 2-turn clock, right? So we're going to get in with Regery and Trickster. Actually get in with Silvergill and Regery. And putting them down to 11 doesn't do anything except give us bad blocks. Alternatively, we could attack with just 1 and then swing with all 3 next turn. Let's see, if they swing out, they're getting 4, 8, block this thing, 9, block this thing. Just doing my diligence here because it's possible they just have lethal if I just swing with 2. So block Thalia, block this Hierarch, take 9. I could even block with the Trickster if push comes to shove, like block something big, like Thalia's Lieutenant. Okay, so we'll get in like this, and we have a redraw with the Waterlogged Grove, so there's that. But you know, it's going to depend on what the opponent has here. So we did kill their redraw with the Horizon Canopy. Are they like Phantasmal Imaging a Mantis Rider here? Or Reflector Majoring? So dirty. Okay. So now I have to draw exactly Master of the Pearl Trident if I'm not just dead right now, which I could well be. Actually, I think I am dead here. Nah, I guess I block the 5, right? Block the 5, draw Master of the Pearl Trident, and... Five, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, double Exalted like this makes a ton of sense. We've got 2 draws. Oh, okay. So they're getting in for lethal. They're going to force me to block. And I don't think that it matters either way here. Yeah, I have lethal if I draw the Island Walk Lord. So Master of the Pearl Trident off the top. 1 time. Spreading Seas is in a redraw because, all right, well, here goes. Now, hang on a second. I cannot cast this guy, right? Okay, just double checking. Come on. Give it to me. Yeah, there's no outs here now. Opponent was on 1 card, and they had a Reflector Mage. I kind of wish I hadn't done that. Alright, I'm just going to attack. We've got lethal on board. If they accidentally don't block, we get there. Okay. So mulligan to 5, super duper close. Didn't have an Ether Vial. I guess the opponent didn't either. We do have 4 Tidebinder Mages to bring in, which is kind of awesome. just trim all the four forces, and I think we're like way better automatically. Okay, we'll be on the play. Hopefully we won't mulligan to 5 again. We've been getting like heartbreakingly close despite mulliganing to 4 against Infect and 5 against humans there. If they just had more beef on that turn, like if they played 2 more Thalia's lieutenants, like we just untap and win. But they had the Reflector Mage. Ugh. So we are guaranteed to have at least 2 creatures here and access to Island Walk, but we have 5 lands. I'm just getting so tired of mulliganing this evening. Like that I'm considering keeping a hand like this, but I'm not really considering keeping it. Not so afraid of the deck. My opponent, of course, is keeping their 7. So we're going to keep here, and we're going to pitch the Waterlogged Grove. So hopefully they play a Hierarch on turn 1, and we just Tidebinder it. That would be like certainly the most favorable opening for us. Champion, we can just play out like Mistbinder and then pass back to their turn, play our 3rd land, and then play second creature and then dismember whatever. Okay, it looks like, yeah, all right. Things going our way so far. Also, opponent's only land here is the Horizon Canopy, so they're going to be damaging themselves. Okay, things sort of kind of coming together a little bit. Okay. So what does the opponent have here? This is pretty solid for us. We can dismember anything that they play next turn. They did see Spreading Seas and Dismember, so they know a couple of things that I could have if they want to play Freebooter. Also with Meddling Mage, obviously a couple of obvious choices. Champion, what, do they have 2 champions? No, it doesn't look like they have 2 champions. Okay. So we are going to play the Bad Lord here. And we're going to swing for 3 points of damage. Opponent F6'd. Going to take the 3. Unless they path the Lord. It doesn't seem like they've got that. Yeah, it seems like it's going well so far. Okay, going even better. Can't attack, can't do nothing. Did they interesting. Not sure what's going on here. 2 pain lands. Oh, okay, 3rd land. What do you got, opponent? Probably not a human, since, I don't know, you probably would have played your creature and then attacked with the champion here. Dismembering, I guess. Okay, Thalia's Lieutenant. This is pretty stupid sequencing. So this is a pretty clear situation where I'll just dismember the champion, play a Lord, get in for a buttload of damage. So if I draw a land, I can just get in with both Lords. All right, play both Lords. Actually, it's kind of a nice sign that the opponent might just like be somebody who makes those kinds of ridiculous misplays. I guess maybe they were gonna like leave up blocks, but that's always good when you're playing against humans if they're leaving back blocks. So we get sort of half blown out here by Deputy of Detention, but that's no reason not to play into the board here. We still have 2 more Dismembers in the deck. Cracking in for 9 here. We'll still have 5 power on the board if they play Deputy, and Deputy doesn't even trigger Thalia's Lieutenant. Oh my god, a Dismember. Maybe they hit the Tidebinder Mage? What are they going to hit here? Oh yeah, they hit the Tidebinder Mage. So now if they have Deputy, it is a bit of a blowout. Opponent's at 9. I'm going to go down to 5 here. Huh. But all their lands are hurting them, so... Oh, another Dismember. What? What was that? Oh, they just took damage. It's so strange how that looked. Like... All right, what do you got, opponent? What do you got? Reflector Mage would make Thalia's Lieutenant a 2/2. Reflector Mage is a 3/3. They're taking damage off of their lands. It'd be really nice if I could draw something here. Another Thalia's Lieutenant, maybe just good old Thalia. Illusion. They played Unclaimed Territory on Illusion. They have, I guess they must have drawn the Dismember pretty late. So, I mean, this has to copy the Thalia's Lieutenant, right? Making this a 2/3 and this a 2/2. So, Spreading Seas one time, Merfolk Trickster one time. Actually, we've got lethal anyway around this. Well, no. Yeah, well, they have to take terrible blocks. Because what, 2/3, 3/3, yeah, I got 4, yeah, they have to block. So Dismember doesn't do it because they can't cast it right now. They would just die. So they're going to 3-for-0 themselves. Oh, okay. They have another Phantasmal Image. So yeah, I mean, Trickster here does a good job. Now this is a 4/4. No, it's actually bigger, right? It's a 5/5, a 3/3. Huh. Well, they still need to block, right? So we would lose 1 Lord, but then it would crumble here because this guy would get blocked. We'd have 1 Lord left. They would have a Thalia's Lieutenant, and then one of them would die. So we would lose 2 Lords. They would only lose 1 Lieutenant. Huh. Well, remember, they can't really tap their lands. So we're still doing pretty good, even though attacks are just terrible here. Another Lord would have just made it pretty nutty, but we're not there yet, so... They had... So this is a straight-up Thalia's Lieutenant. This one is a Phantasmal Image. Yeah, Drake, I got it, man. No attacks. For the stream, I always just think out loud, right? And it would be sort of negligent dereliction of duty if I didn't actually compute that. They're playing another Thalia's Lieutenant here. Where's my Echoing Truth? They still can't attack. Because, well, I guess they can. Because they have the Hierarch here. So this is a 7/7, a 5. Well, let's see how they choose to do this here. If they get in, they can only get in with 1 creature. And that still opens like Trickster up to just winning the game. All right, so Spreading Seas off the top is GG. Trickster not quite there. Lord, Lord not quite there either, but it diversifies my Lords, which feels good. Still can't attack. Opponent continuing to be in a somewhat precarious position with their mana. I don't think I've ever played against 4 Thalia's Lieutenants, much less beaten 4th Ollie's Lieutenant, so fingers crossed here. We do have 5 attackers. I guess if they play any creature, they can tap the Hierarch and still maintain significant enough defense. But again, if they attack, then Trickster becomes a real threat. They are at 2 life. We've got 5 attackers against their 5 blockers. And they're going to 1. Okay, another champion. All these guys are going to grow. If they attack with even 1, then Trickster is lethal off the top. Okay, I mean, this just seems to favor us long term, right? I think I can just tap out for Silvergill here. It's the same as just leaving Mutavault up. Trickster, Spreading Seas. Okay. Even like Waterlogged Grove is fine off the top. Opponent's at 1 life, so these lands are officially offline here. Opponent, whoa, what do they got for 1 mana here? Okay, just drawing a card. Makes sense, makes sense. Okay, so they only have access to 2 mana currently. God, this Hierarch is a 4/5. Okay, another Horizon Canopy. I kind of want them to play lands here. I would have preferred it to be a land that doesn't actually draw another card. Aether Vial's on 1. I have to imagine they're not attacking here again. If they do... okay. Oh my goodness. This is really wild. So they've got 6 blockers, we've got 6 attackers. Still no good, but we can play out our Aether Vial now. Yeah, this is one for the record books here. I need to take a screenshot, I think, at some point. I'll just take a screenshot now, get some people amped up in the Discord. Okay. Yeah, so we're just chilling here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, okay, gotta pass. But we do have 7 blockers, which feels pretty good. Opponent can draw 2 cards on their end step, I guess. But they still can't get 3 drops. Come on, crack this too. Okay, well, I don't know. Let's just see what they play. They got another 1 drop. Let it be a Hierarch. Okay, it's a Hierarch. Come on, Spreading Seas, please. Trickster, something. Opponent's got 4 cards in hand right now. 2 drop. What can the 2 drop be? I can't respond anyway, so it doesn't matter. Could be like, I guess they could play a Meddling Mage naming Spreading Seas. Seems pretty good. But then, you know, Dismember is online, so I guess definitely swings things in their favor, I think. Trickster's still pretty good, though. I'm getting to the point where even Dismember is sketchy because... oh no. I'm gonna like fake them out like I'm gonna cast something and then think for a second. All right. Seas doesn't do anything. Oh, I see. Trickster. Yeah, Trickster into Seas. But yes, that's that's at least one turn away. They're at 1 life. This is ridiculous. And they have 4 cards in hand. Ether Vial on 3. This could be all sorts of nasty stuff. Like, I think like Deputy of Detention would just get me. Mantis Rider. Okay, well that's a clock. Gutshot? What are you talking about? Oh god. I mean, they're already getting in for 5 in the air. Are they going to copy Mantis Rider? I mean, what are they? I guess it does increase the clock if they get in for 6. A 3-turn clock versus a 4-turn clock. Opponents got significantly less time than we do. Yeah, but Spreading Seas, we can't cast it because of the Meddling Mage. I don't know if you guys just arrived late to the game, but the Meddling Mage is keeping the Seas off the table. Oh, Jesus. All right. At least we get to cycle that thing. Ugh. So we're going to wait to see how they attack, I guess. And then we're going to wait to see. I mean, if they attack, I don't even know. I mean, all right. To win this game, we pretty much have to kill the Meddling Mage. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and we've got only 7 attackers. And if they attack for 6 again, then it takes Dismember off the table, which means I can't kill the Meddling Mage. I have to kill one of the Mantis Riders. So I think this game is slipping away, guys. Mutavault, just going to be a 7/7. Obviously not good enough. Where is Echoing Truth when you need it? Pretty sure we're on a mulligan to 6 in this game. Things looked promising, and then the opponent played 4 Thalia's lieutenants. And we've managed to not draw one of our 2 Spreading Seas before the opponent could play a Meddling Mage naming Spreading Seas. If I dismember one of their Mantis Riders, I go to 6. Take 3, go to 3. I'm just dead anyway. So the Dismember is just really poorly timed. One should just get in with everything probably, right? I think they probably figured that out. What a bummer. So Dismember doesn't do anything, because if I dismember the Meddling Mage, I die. If I dismember a Mantis Rider, then I go to 6. Go to 6 anyway. Take another 4. Go to 2, and I'm just go to 6. Take 3. Go to 3. I'm just dead next turn anyway. So whatever. We just take the damage. Oh, you know what? I forgot that it had Vigilance. I don't think the math, like they have so many creatures anyway, I don't think it matters. There's just no way to win here. Oh, it's getting hot. It's getting hot in here. Need to take a break after this. All right, pretty terrible, but it was fun. So, great game. Thank you. Good luck with the rest of your league. And unfortunately, we're going down to 1 and 3 here, I think. All right, let me take a quick break, guys. Be right back. Well, you know, we're playing some interesting Magic, even if we're losing. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. It's 2-2. I was 2-1, so I thought I was going 1-3, but it's actually 2-2. So I can still cash this league. Let's see. We beat that random blue-green deck that was trying to steal our lands with. I think the spell was called Annex. It's like 2 blue, 2 colorless. Like take a land or enchant a land. You control the land. And then we won against Mill. We lost to Infect, really frustratingly. We almost got there on a multi-4, and obviously just lost to Humans. Again, mulliganing a little bit. But yeah, let's just jump back in and see if we can get the win. So thanks for joining me this evening, guys. This is my normal Wednesday night Merfolk. I have been enjoying the Simic Merfolk lately. I was on Drakenar's list, Drake Gideon in the chat, with 20 lands, but I just felt like I was flooding like crazy. I trimmed 1 Mutavault, and now all of a sudden against Infect, when I mulliganed to 4, it wasn't like I was on the fence about keeping 1-landers. It was literally opening 7 had 0 lands, opening 6 had 0 lands, opening 5 had 0 lands. And then my opening 4 that I had to keep had 1 land. Also had Chalice, which almost won the game, but they had a Blighted Agent to play one of the 4 2-drops in their entire deck. Like, literally out of 60 cards, they have 4 cards, I think, that are not 1 mana. 4 spells that are not 1 mana, and they had the one that mattered. Well, they had one of the 2-drops, and that's what mattered. All right, so let's win the die roll. No mulligans, 2 lands, Ether Vial, and creatures in the opening hand. Yes, all right, halfway there. And we can work with this. Opponent kept 7 though, so I guess we'll see how it goes. So Tron, if it's Tron on 7 cards, it's not, okay. Okay, so Bauble, they're not playing Lurrus, at least not as a companion, so it's definitely not something we want to force. They're looking at their top deck. So Shadow seems like a pretty good matchup. They can Thoughtseize away the Island Walk Lord. They might want to take the Silvergill Adept. Island Walk Lord, oh, okay, all right. So this could be like Jund Shadow. They have another Bauble. Okay, so 2 redraws coming. They could be main decking Lurrus. I actually saw that recently. Now they're looking again at their own top deck. They did shuffle away with the fetch. I have to think that, okay, they're not, they're cycling a Street Wraith, because why not? And Traverse. So they've only got 3 types, so they're going to get a land here, I think, right? Yeah, we could force this, since it seems like they need a second land. But they could also just be casting this for value, since maybe they have the creature in hand already. Yeah, I mean, they could have, like, I think we go for it, I guess, right? We could pitch Reejery. Giving up the game. We're on Merfolk. So hopefully this keeps them off of a second land. That would be amazing. Okay, so drawn back up to 6. I mean, a third land is whatever here. We're going to draw land at some point. So Magic Online, well, that's pretty sick. Whenever I reveal a card, I always drag it over to the far left side so I remember. And if I have a land, like, I'll separate what the opponent knows. Of course, the revealed cards are here, but I don't, it's just much easier to just keep the information in your hand. Sort of equivalent of, like, when you play paper, like flipping your cards upside down. Inquisition, okay. Probably a Death Shadow to follow it up with. They don't have any islands. Important to note. This could just be Jund Death Shadow. Another, okay, Thoughtseize, interesting. Definitely going to crack in with Silvergill for three points here. Okay, opponent knows I have the Cavern. Don't really see... like, I'm gonna play the Lord here, and there's nothing I can draw next turn. I guess I could draw Seize, and then draw into a 2-drop. So I would, in theory, want to have access to 4 mana next turn. So I can play the Sanctum, even though it gives complete information to the opponent. Well, the text log. I mean, who wants to scroll through the text log? I mean, it's much easier just to click the revealed thing, right? But it's also just much easier just to put it on the side, right? That's probably the easiest option. Okay, opponent knows the last card in my hand. We're kind of hoping to top deck a Spreading Seas. That would be pretty sick. Turns on Island Walk, hurts their colors. So much stuff happens in these games against Death Shadow. Like, it's crazy to think that this is turn 3. Oh, they have double Death Shadow? Is that what we're doing here? Double Death Shadow plus push or bolt or something like that? Deck. Ether Vial is just air in this spot. They can go down to... They can make these guys 10/10s. But then they go down to 2. We block with Silvergill Adept and then crack for lethal, so... we could also go to 8. Like, it's probably just better not to, I don't know, like, to not play the Ether Vial here, just doing literal nothing. So this does look like Jund Shadow, which I haven't seen in a long time. I've seen 4-color Shadow, 5-color Shadow, but just straight up Jund? Well, that's rough. Opponent rolling with the nuts this game. Double Bauble, triple Street Wraith, double Thoughtseize, removal, double Death Shadow, plus Traverse the Uvenwald. I'm just gonna type LOL, which is not salty. It's not it's just LOL. Like, I would laugh in real life about that. Okay, well, let's play Chalice. Let's draw the Chalice. Let's shut him down. Even though Relic is a bit of a non-bow with the Chalice, still gonna bring it in. They probably have Tarmogoyfs in the deck, so I think I'm just gonna bring in the Tidebinder Mages. I'm gonna take out all them forces. We still have 7 cards that we need to take out. I mean, Rijiri dies to Tarfire, which is pretty rough. I mean, they're probably only running like a singleton to turn on Tarmogoyf. Actually, that's total proof that they run Tarmogoyf. I mean, Jund Death Shadow runs Tarmogoyf. I just haven't seen the deck in a long time, so... They could run Kolaghan's commands, in which case we would want to trim on Ether Vials, but I do like Ether Vial quite a lot. We are bringing in Chalice, though, so maybe I'll trim one Ether Vial. Rijiri dies to Tarfire. It's also just expensive. We do like tapping their stuff down, though. So start by trimming 2 Rijiris. I mean, I could, since I'm bringing in the Tidebinder mages for Tarmogoyf, we could probably hedge. They're not running a Snapcaster, so we can probably hedge on relics, particularly since we're really hoping to get Chalice on 1 down. So maybe I'll just go like 1 relic. I have 2 cards left to trim. Let's just keep the curve really low. Get rid of the Rijiris. Keep Ether Vial on 2. We've got Island Walk, we've got Beef, we've got Card Draw. Actually, we could trim some number of speakers, since Chalice could wreck them, but we do have Caverns, so I'm just going to run it like this. And if I lose Death Shadow going for the 3-2 here, it's going to be a little disappointing. Oh my god. Well, I mean, it's such a greedy hand. They're going to have Inquisition or Thoughtseize. Yeah, I agree. It's a mulligan. It's tempting because it's got good stuff, but 1-landers without Ether Vial on the play are always mulligans. It might be slightly more of a consideration if we were on the draw. Even then, still not. But it's like our 10,000th mulligan this game, though. I mean, this league is what I mean to say. Double Spreading Seas, they are sort of low on lands. It's just to say they don't run too many lands. So I don't really know how beefy we need to go. Like, I don't know if I want to keep the speaker. I just want to keep Spreading Seas, just like wreck their lands and then slow down their creatures. I mean, one option is just to go speaker into Lord and just start attacking. But that really only kind of plays into their strategy of getting down to 13 really fast. Definitely going to keep. I could also, I mean, bottoming the Lord just seems ridiculous because Island Walk is one of our trump cards in the matchup. I'm going to put the speaker on the bottom. Opponent mulliganed to 6, and they kept 6. All right, well, let's see if they take one of the Thoughtseizes. Sorry, one of the Spreading Seas with Thoughtseize. Seize, Thoughtseize. They're seizing my seas. They might just be saying uh-oh right now. Because they mulligan to 6, maybe they only have 1 land. Nope, they took the Lord. Okay, once again, don't really care about giving full information. I mean, if they run like engineered explosives, it could be a big blowout. I had an opponent just wrecked when I was playing Soul Herder. I think it was yesterday. A Death Shadow opponent, and then they played engineered explosives, and I had like 2 or 3 3-drops with worship on the board. And it's just such a blowout because they just played it on 3. They wiped. I had 2 Eternal Witnesses and a Soul Herder, and a worship on the board. So how are they going to deal with? They can't have spot removal for all 3 of my creatures, but they got All right, so we do have to wait a moment here. I'm going to play the Breeding Pool tapped, and we're just going to pass the turn. If they Thoughtseize me again on their turn, I'm just going to flash in the Trickster. Okay. I mean, I don't know. Keeping Trickster in hands actually seems kind of decent, but whatever. Are they going to crack a land to kill the Trickster? It looks like they are. I will discard Cavern of Souls if they go like Kolaghan's Command here. Basic land when I'm hitting all their... Well, I guess that makes sense, because now they only get wrecked on their swamp. If I'm gonna draw... See, this is how games have been going. Like, I've been drawing 5 or 6 lands. Are they gonna play a Veil? Are they gonna Veil me right now? Jesus Christ. That card needs to get banned on Monday. I'm so tired of that stupid card. Now play a Tarmogoyf and nothing else. Like, there's just no reason for the 1 mana Cryptic Command. It's just so stupid. Even if we can play it and like take fun screenshots of like getting our opponent with Veil, it shouldn't exist. The same as Astrolabe. It's just fundamentally not on the same sort of design axis as every other card in Magic. Jesus Christ. Okay. Ugh, okay. They got a snow-covered forest. Sick. I mean, I could be playing out this Tidebinder Mage, but whatever. Hey, all right, let's go to attacks with Mutavault. Make them blow up my land if they've got removal, and then we'll follow it up with Chalice of the Void. Actually, hang on a second. Seems more likely that they could have like push or something, right? Stubborn Denial wants you to pay 1. Mystical Dispute wants you to pay 3. So I should play my land first. And I should run out Chalice first. Because they do run so many 1-drops. And now this plays around Mystical Dispute and Stubborn Denial. What you got, opponent? Let's see that counterspell. They could have both. There's a Stubborn Denial. Okay. Yes. Another Stubborn Denial? No, now they have... now they're going to have a Mystical Dispute? Okay, cool. They do have blue mana, so they could have Snapcaster, but whatever. They can't play any Death Shadows for the time being, and they don't have red mana to Kolaghan's Command anything. Okay, that seems pretty good. Just wait to the opponent's end step to flash that in. I could just draw Lord right now. Let's do it. I feel like they're severely handicapped with that Chalice on the board. Yeah, that's why you run out the Silvergill right now. Okay, opponent dead on board if they don't get something fantastic. Tarmogoyf gets tapped by Tidebinder Mage. Lord gets through. It's been a kind of a cool match. Okay, opponent concedes. I mean, it's been a particularly cool game. The first game was pretty stupid. The opponent had, like, beyond the nuts. They had double Thoughtseize, double Shadow, double Street Wraith. I kind of like that configuration. I think I'm just going to run it back. On the draw, it's possible I might want to bring in another Ether Vial so that we can catch up on tempo. I could bring in an Ether Vial and trim a land. Kind of like that. Cavern definitely stays with the chalices in the deck. I'll trim a Mutavault here so that I don't get totally screwed on my mana. Run it back. Trim a land on the draw. See how it goes. I am out of water, but also out of magic soon. Opponent mulligans. We're going to keep. All we need here is a chalice, and hopefully the opponent just keeps a hand with like 2 Tarmogoyfs, no removal. All right, so they kept 6. One of the cards is a Mishra's Bauble. Looking at my top deck. Means probably not a fetch land. Yeah, there's a Watery Grave. Thoughtseize taking away Silvergill, I'd imagine. Though I did get him with Spreading Seas a little bit last game. I wonder if they had any red spells in hand. If they've got Tarmogoyfs, then dealing with Tidebinders might actually be an issue for them. Let's see what they take. Sorry, I just got something in my eye. Okay, opponent down to 3 cards. They took the Spreading Seas. Maybe they're very low on mana. That's pretty good for us in this spot, I think. Cavern of Souls plays around, it's important to note, it plays around Mystical Dispute, which is pretty sick. Vial off the top? Oh, it's so good. Actually, it could be really relevant that I've got this Grove in hand as an extra draw, particularly with Ether Vial on the board. Opponent taking Spreading Seas makes you think that they have to be really low on lands. See what they do here. Nothing. I can get down with nothing. Okay, where are these Tarmogoyfs? We haven't seen any of them. Opponent already knows about 2 of these Tidebinder. Oh, wait, hang on a second. I clicked the wrong thing. So I will maneuver 2 of these guys around my land. So this one is unknown. These 2 are known. Oh my god. Let's go, deck. Opponent, tap out on your turn. Kolaghan's Command, blow up my Ether Vial, kill the Silvergill Adept. I do not care. But do not play Death Shadows yet. Don't do that, please. Come on. Come on. Damn it. I mean, we're not doing terribly here, but the fact that they can get a shadow on the board, take the chalice away kind of hurts. We've got 3 left in the deck. Death Shadow. Get out of my life, Death Shadow. They do have an island on the board. That's one sort of positive. They did not play a land there. That is 100% getting run out right now. Okay, well, it's totally possible that the other 3 cards in their hand are 1-drops. So, massive value play. They're not playing out lands, so they shouldn't be able to buff this Death Shadow too quickly. We're going to vial in a Tidebinder Mage on the end step regardless of what they do. The question is, do I attack them to 9 and let them just attack me back with this Death Shadow? I'm inclined to just sort of wait. We've got a redraw with the Waterlogged Grove, which should let us look for a Lord. We can continue to just sort of put bodies on the table. Oh, wait, stop. Play that land. Pass the turn. So opponent threw back my LOL, because I said LOL when they had like the bonkers nuts in game 1. And they said, oh, well, it's a 4/4. Land can make it into a big boy here. If they get red, things are getting a little bit spicy. But if they go to 6, we can Violent a Tidebinder, draw a Lord, and just win. They could have Drown in the lock. All right, well, they're at 6. They're putting themselves... Oh, God. Is this a Liliana? It's a Lurrus. Okay, well, it is a Lurrus. They've got baubles that they can play. This is kind of gross. Looking at my top deck. Okay. Can't really stop them from attacking here. And it's not really time to chump block yet. Another Chalice on 0 would be a reasonable top deck, but really just want the Lord for the win. That would just do it. Opponent knows if there's a Lord on the top. Let's see. If well, I can get both of these guys down here. So I think if there's a Regery, probably not worth taking this up to 3. If there is a Regery on the top, I could just win by taking this up and then play Tidebinder Mage tapping Lurrus, which would just be bonkers. However, if there is just... So if there's a Regery, I just win. It's pretty awesome. If there's an Island Walk Lord, I can just cast it and just win. If I hard cast Regery, leaving Aether Vial on 2, I don't have good attacks. I think we have to leave this on 2 for the time being. You know, I could just crack the Waterlogged Grove right now. But then if there's a Regery on top of the deck, it doesn't really do much for us. So I'm going to leave it on 2 for now. Oh, Jesus Christ. I think it's time to sack the Waterlogged Grove. Because, again, Island Walk Lord just wins. We can play the other Vial. We can still Vial in a Tidebinder Mage if necessary. Come on. Ugh. Oh, well, you can't play Vial, thank you. Well, we got another redraw. That's kind of nice. Deck. Now they get to go to 9. Looking at my top deck. I feel like I can't block here if they're going up to 9. Opponent, there are 2 unknown cards in my hand right now. Actually, nah, they knew about the Aether Vial. There's 1 unknown card in hand. Oh, they know what my top deck is now, so maybe they're trying to figure out. They're really hesitating here. Maybe they're just like bluffing me, but it feels like they're shook. So okay, no attacks. I can 100% get down with that. They could have like Koligon's command in hand, which would just be a little bit ridiculous if I draw a Lord. I just kill my Lord and just blow me out. I'm afraid I'm in a situation where I can't really afford to play around that. So, let's see. If I... Yeah, I'm going to keep leaving this on 2. Spreading Seas. Interesting. So I'm going to wait to play my land. Maybe we'll draw another Mutavault, though I think... Yeah, well, just a Mutavault. Yeah, hang on a second. They can't cast Summer Denial, which is the only thing I can afford to play around. If they have Mystical Dispute, I can't pay it anyway. Okay, well, they've got something going on. Oh, so they got a dispute. Opponent just gets to keep cycling a bauble. It's just, I don't know, really annoying. Teamer Battle Rage, just kind of a huge blowout. Looking at their top deck, which means like a fetch land. What am I thinking? Fetch land. There we go. So I looked at their top deck. They've got the fetch land on the board. They can grow the Death Shadow to a 10/10. They could have a Bolt in hand to finish me off. They could also have Tarfire. Tarfire gets hit by Chalice. Bolt gets hit by Chalice. Tarmogoyf gets wrecked by Tidebinder Mage. And let's see what they do. Attacking with Luris. Pretty annoying. I guess I could just block with Silvergill here. They'll go up to 9. I have 9. Yeah, I think this is a fair trade here. Actually, if I just take... Yeah, I have to... If I take 3, I can tap down their dude, and then just attack next... They go up to 9, right? Tap their guy. I could get in for 6. Get in for lethal, even if it's just a Regery next turn. So... But if I don't trade with Luris here, they're just drawing more cards. So you're going up to 9 no matter what here. And Tarmogoyf is getting tapped no matter what. So I'm going to have 1 blocker back, and I'm guessing they have no removal that they can cast since the Chalice is on the board. I'm going to play Tidebinder. I can attack in and get in for at least 6. If I draw a Regery, it's going to be 9, which still wins past Luris, but only if I don't block here. I feel like not blocking is the way so that I increase like the number of outs that I have to just like win the game next turn. So if I block, I still win if I draw an Island Walk Lord, which, you know, there are 8 of them in the deck. But I increase those odds by 50% if I don't block here to win next turn by adding Regery to the pile. Actually, you know what? I sideboarded out Regeries, I think. I sideboarded all my Regeries out. That's a good thing I remembered that. So at this point, only Island Walk Lords win, so I'm going to block this thing for sure. All right, so deck has not been super cooperative this evening. But we shall see what we draw here. Koligon's command is off the table. Push is off the table. Tarfire off the table. Come on. Come on, deck. Super duper uncooperative. Oh, opponent's Death Shadow got a little bit smaller because of that Lurrus attack. They have another Bauble in hand. Looking at their own top deck, it's a total possibility that their hand is just full of 1-drops. Like, that's kind of what their deck does. Thoughtseize, Inquisition, Tarfire, Lightning Bolt, going down to 7 here. All right, well, that's 1 away. Another Tarmogoyf. If they get in, we can't block here, right? Okay, they're not getting in. Come on, deck, please. Give me one of my 8 lords. It's what we do. Okay, well, that's sort of a start. Ugh. I'm gonna click this like I want to play something, and then sort of be coy and sort of think a little bit. Botanical Sanctum doesn't matter. There's no reason to play out lands here. I've already played one of my both of my C's, so I just have to pass a turn here. Oh my god, this is absurd. Okay, well, opponent's got them lands. Let's see what they do here. Okay, well, all right, we get another draw here. At this point, I've got enough cards in hand that I feel okay, like running out of land. Okay, so this is just what we do, right? We play the Lord. We attack with 3 creatures, leaving back a blocker, so we're not totally dead on board. If they have removal, like in a Kolaghan's Command, but they need to have exactly Drowned in the Loch or Kolaghan's Command here, right? They could have Dismember. Dismember's pretty rough, but they go down to 4, 3. Actually, no, they've got a lot of black mana, so they could do whatever they want. If I attack with my creatures, they're taking at least 4 here. I mean, this is what I've been waiting for, right? Just kind of have to go for it. Or do we just chill and then, like, wait to double Lord? What do you guys think? Do I just jam this here? What do you guys think? Well, so the thing is, if I have got 7 more lords in the deck, they have precious few removal spells that can actually kill a lord. But they're going to start leaning in with these big creatures. All right, I'm also running out of time, so the idea is if we draw a second lord, we can just play both of them, and there's no way that they have 2 non-1-drop removal spells in hand. So Magicus, the idea, I've got Chalice down, so they can't push, they can't bolt, they can't Tarfire. We've just been waiting to top deck a Lord. We top deck the Lord. Now that they haven't been attacking because they're at a low life total. I'm keeping all these cards in my hand, so they don't know what's up. They just totally pass the turn last. So do we wait to draw a second lord, double up, and make it really, really hard? Like, imagine they have a Kolaghan's Command here now, and I attack with 3 creatures. It's just a blowout. They get to eat 2 of my creatures, as well as killing a lord. If I wait for a second lord, it should just be impossible for them to get there. But I've got 7 more lords in the deck. We haven't seen a single one. There's no Regeries. There's only Island Walk lords. I think I'm just going to go for it. Actually, that's a very good point. That's a very, very good point. They could also have Drowned in the Loch, which is another possibility. But it's just one spell now that we have to worry about. So I do think I just get in with 3 creatures here. Leave 1 back just in case. Opponent might just be scooping here. Oh god, do they have something here? Have they been slow rolling Kolaghan's Command? I guess getting Drowned in the Loch does it. What are they doing? Oh, Abrupt Decay? But they would have Abrupt Decayed the Chalice, right? Unless they're just being really clever, I guess. If an artifact... Oh, we already have an artifact in the graveyard. Tarmogoyf is probably going to be stuck at 6/6, so we should be able to just chump block the Death Shadow. But we're just running out of resources at this point, if they don't have anything. I mean, what is the opponent thinking about here? Like, if they have removal for the Lord, they cast it. Oh, opponent just scooped. Oh my god. Opponent was really cool there. So we got there with the 3-2. Some really nice Magic this evening when I wasn't mulliganing to 4 and 5. Thanks for joining, Magicus. Really appreciate the feedback. I wish the way it's in the last game, it just kicks you out, and no, I think I can still chat with the guy. He was just commenting on how cool that game was. Another opponent might take it very differently. So they had the complete nuts in game 1. No, it goes away after the fifth game. It brings you back to the table, and it does leave the chat, I guess. So then opponent said LOL because they thought seized my Chalice, and then literal my next top deck was another Chalice, and they said LOL, and so still pretty unsure if either of us are being salty. So I responded just saying, yeah, it was a good draw to hit that Chalice. Opponent said agreed, so seems like a good guy. And then deep in that game, they said this game has been sweet, which is you always love to hear that when you're playing a cool game, opponents not getting pissed off because there's a Chalice on the board. I said, yes, very cool. And then I said sorry for the delay because I think I took about 3 minutes on that turn. They said all good. I was just thinking about the outs, and yeah. So that's it. So Kolaghan's Command totally wasn't really on the table because they would have blown up the Chalice a long time ago. I think that thought entered my mind 6 or 7 turns ago, and then I sort of forgot about it. I was just suddenly starting to think about what the possible ways for them to kill a Lord with a Chalice on the table were, and outs were Kolaghan's Command, and Drowned in the Loch, as far as I understand. They could have things like Terminator, Dismember. Who knows what that particular Jund Shadow player had in their deck at that moment. Jund Shadow, not the really preferred build right now. I don't think, at least. Seems like people are tending to... Well, actually, they had blue. So it is 4-color Shadow. It just only showed us Jund in the first round. So it's just kind of a normal 4-color Death Shadow deck. So I think they run varying numbers of Drown in the Loch. Anyhow, we had time on the clock. I wasn't in danger of timing out, and sometimes you just need to think. So anyhow, that was a really, really cool league. I had a great time playing the deck, but we did mulligan to 4, we mulligan to 5 multiple times, we mulligan to 6 multiple times. I think I only kept 1 opening 7 or 2 opening 7s. Let's try to remember what I played against. We beat Mill pretty easily. We beat some random green-blue deck that played Annex. I think there's the name of the card, or maybe it's Annexation or something, where it's 4 mana, 2 blue, 2 colorless, and you enchant a land and you control the land. That was like all they played. We counter. Oh, they played a Jace, and we just ran them over entirely. Then we lost to humans, and then we won that cool match against Death Shadow. This other loss here, I think it was a very close one against Infect. This is where I mulliganed to 4. We had a Chalice, and we just couldn't quite get there. They had a Glistener Elf and 2 Hierarchs down before we got to cast the Chalice, and then literally their next turn they played the Blighted Agent. Now, I think Blighted Agent is the only non-1 CMC spell in their entire deck, unless they bring in Spellskite. Then they have a couple extra 2 CMC spells. But Blighted Agent is the only one that matters when you've got Chalice down, and they had the spell that beat me, so could have beaten them. I needed one more turn, basically. Could have beaten them on the mulligan to 4, which kind of indicates that maybe if we're playing 4 Chalices, you just want to mulligan to Chalice against Infect. It's that good against them. If you look at a list, it's Hierarch is a 1-drop, Glistener Elf is a 1-drop, Scale Up 1-drop, Vines, Groundswell, Blossoming Defense, just everything. Everything's a 1-drop. Spell Pierce. Anyhow, really fun league. Thanks to those of you who joined me this evening. If you're not following the channel, I'd really appreciate it if you could do that. It helps me out a lot if I get additional followers. I'd love to get like a sponsorship at some point so that I could rent cards for free, that kind of thing. If any of you guys feel like subscribing, that's always an option as well. I'll probably be streaming next sometime this weekend. I've got a lot of free time lately. If not then I'll be back on Monday with Soul Herder, and again next Wednesday with Merfolk. So thanks again, guys. Really fun match there. Glad my opponent enjoyed it as well, and happy to go positive on the league after a couple of unfortunate losses. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time.